The rain fell in relentless sheets, drumming a haunting melody against the windows of the old Victorian house. Thunder roared in the distance, shaking the very foundation of the lonely home. A young boy named Tim huddled beneath his blankets, the dim glow of a flashlight illuminating his fearful eyes. Tim's parents had left him alone for the night, entrusting him with the responsibility of caring for their ancestral home while they attended a family emergency. The storm had arrived unexpectedly, casting an eerie shadow over the already ominous atmosphere of the creaky mansion. As the clock ticked away, the rain intensified, creating an almost claustrophobic ambience. Tim, feeling uneasy, decided to check on the doors and windows to make sure everything was secure. He navigated the dark hallways, the occasional flickering of the antique lamps casting strange shadows on the walls. Approaching the front door, Tim noticed a figure through the rain-streaked glass. A silhouette wearing a police uniform stood on the porch, raindrops cascading down the brim of a wide-brimmed hat. Relief washed over Tim, assuming it was a friendly officer seeking shelter from the storm. With cautious optimism, Tim opened the door. The fake police officer, soaked and shivering, nodded in gratitude. "I'm sorry to bother you, young man. I was patrolling the area when my car broke down. May I use your phone to call for assistance?" Tim hesitated, but feeling a sense of obligation, gestured towards the phone in the hallway. As the stranger approached, the flickering light revealed a ghastly pallor and empty eyes. The facade of the police officer quickly melted away, revealing the visage of a ghostly figure. A chill ran down Tim's spine as he stumbled backward, realizing the danger that lurked within his own home. The ghostly entity turned, fixing its gaze on Tim with an otherworldly hunger. Whispers of long-forgotten sins echoed through the air as the malevolent spirit advanced. Panicking, Tim raced through the darkened corridors, the ghost's chilling laughter echoing in pursuit. Doors slammed shut behind him, trapping him in a labyrinth of his own fear. Desperation clawed at him as he sought refuge in the attic, the air thick with the scent of ancient memories and dust. In the attic, Tim's heart pounded in his ears as he frantically searched for a hiding spot. The ghostly figure materialized, its ghastly form flickering in and out of existence. With an unholy screech, the ghost lunged at Tim, its spectral hands reaching for his throat. The boy's scream pierced the stormy night as the ghost's icy grip tightened. Tim's world faded to darkness, the echoes of his terror swallowed by the relentless rain. The once quiet mansion now bore witness to a tragedy, the malevolent spirit claiming another victim on that stormy, fateful night. The ghostly presence lingered in the house, a malevolent force that seeped into the very walls and floorboards. The rain continued to pour, a melancholic symphony, to accompany the ghost's haunting presence. Shadows danced in the corners, and whispers echoed through the empty halls as the supernatural entity reveled in its victory. This turned into nights, and the house became a place of dread for those who dared to approach. Rumors circulated through the town about the haunted mansion, its dark history now intertwined with the mysterious death of young Tim. Some claimed to have heard the tormented cries of the boy echoing on stormy nights. The investigators delved into the unsettling history of the house, unearthing tales of tragedy and betrayal. It seemed that the ghostly figure had a dark past, a former police officer who met an untimely demise under suspicious circumstances. The spirit sought revenge for the injustice it suffered in life, and poor Tim became an unwitting victim caught in the crossfire of the supernatural vendetta. The rain pelted against the window panes, creating a symphony of eerie sounds that echoed through the empty house. Emily sat alone in the dimly lit living room, wrapped in a cozy blanket, her only company the soft glow of a flickering candle. The storm outside intensified, casting ominous shadows that danced across the walls. As the clock ticked away, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. A chill ran down her spine, and she dismissed it as a result of the creepy atmosphere the storm had created. She attempted to distract herself with a book, but her eyes kept drifting towards the dark corners of the room. The old house creaked and groaned, its time-worn floorboards protesting against the weight of years. Emily felt a sense of unease, as if the very walls held secrets that were about to be revealed. The wind howled outside, creating a haunting melody that echoed through the empty halls. In an attempt to dispel the growing sense of isolation, Emily decided to explore the house. She moved cautiously through the dimly lit corridors, the creaking floor beneath her footsteps creating an unsettling rhythm. The air felt heavy, as though the house itself held its breath. As Emily approached the grand staircase, a sudden draft extinguished the candle she carried. Darkness enveloped her, and she fumbled for a match to relight it. The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant rumble of thunder. The match flared to life, illuminating the staircase before her. With each step she took, the shadows seemed to deepen, and the air grew colder. Emily hesitated but pressed on, her curiosity overcoming her fear. She reached the top of the stairs and found herself in front of an old, dusty door that seemed to beckon her forward. Summoning her courage, Emily turned the handle and stepped into a room frozen in time. Antique furniture covered in white sheets loomed in the darkness. Cobwebs clung to the corners, and a thick layer of dust hung in the air. It was a forgotten relic of the past, untouched by the passage of time. As Emily explored the room, she felt a sudden drop in temperature. A soft whisper echoed through the air, sending shivers down her spine. She turned to leave, but the door slammed shut behind her with a force that seemed almost supernatural. Panic set in as she realized she was trapped in the cold, silent room. A ghostly figure materialized in the corner, its form obscured by the shadows. A chilling voice spoke from the darkness, recounting a tale of tragedy and betrayal that had left the spirit bound to the house. Emily could feel the weight of the ghost's sorrow, and a bone-chilling realization washed over her. Perspiration gripped Emily as she pleaded for release, her words echoing through the empty room. The ghost, fueled by a restless spirit, seemed both sorrowful and vengeful. It spoke of lost love, of a life cut short, and of a longing for peace that had eluded it for centuries. In the midst of the ghost-haunting tale, the storm outside reached its peak, unleashing a torrential downpour that matched the intensity of the spectral encounter. Lightning illuminated the room, revealing the anguished face of the ghost frozen in time. As the final words of the ghost's tale faded away, Emily felt a sudden rush of energy. The room seemed to come alive with a spectral glow, and the air became charged with an otherworldly presence. The ghost, having shared its story, slowly dissipated into the shadows, leaving Emily alone once more. The door, no longer barred, swung open with an ethereal grace. Emily, shaken but somehow changed by the encounter, stumbled out into the hallway. The storm outside had begun to subside, and the house, once filled with an ominous energy, felt the lingering presence of the ghost remained etched in Emily's memory as she descended the staircase and returned to the living room. The rain outside had transformed into a gentle The torrential rain outside battered against the windows like a legion of restless spirits desperately seeking entrance. The wind howled with a mournful wail, as if the very air itself bore witness to an impending tragedy. Emma sat in the dimly lit cottage, the shadows flickering across her face, casting hollows where there once were features. The fire in the fireplace crackled, its feeble light struggling against the oppressive darkness that loomed outside. The flames danced with an unnatural fervor, casting grotesque shapes on the walls, as though the very essence of the storm had seeped in. The warmth they provided offered little solace against the chill that clung to the air, a spectral presence whispering secrets of long-forgotten nightmares. Wrapped in the tattered blanket, Emma felt a sense of foreboding that settled in her chest like a lead weight. The silence within the cottage was disturbed only by the symphony of raindrops tapping on the roof like bony fingers. It was a silence that felt alive, pregnant with unseen horrors waiting to manifest in the corners of her fragile reality. Attempting to distract herself, Emma picked up the worn-out book from the dusty shelf. Its pages, yellowed with age, seemed to emit an unsettling odor, as if the words within held secrets too malevolent to be contained. The flickering fire cast grotesque shadows on the pages, twisting the innocent words into a dance of macabre. As the storm outside reached a crescendo, the cottage seemed to sigh and groan in harmony with the wind. The wooden beams overhead creaked in discordant unison, their protestations adding to the sinister ambiance. Emma's eyes darted nervously around the room, searching for something that her instincts screamed was lurking just beyond her sight. The shadows on the walls seemed to pulse with a life of their own, contorting into shapes that defied the laws of nature. Emma's breath caught as she thought she glimpsed a skeletal hand reaching out from the darkness, only to retreat when she blinked. She clutched the blanket tighter, a feeble shield against the encroaching malevolence that seemed to seep through the very walls. In the midst of the storm's fury, Emma heard a low, guttural growl that emanated not from the winds outside, but from the very core of the cottage. The fire, once a feeble ally, sputtered and dimmed, casting the room into a suffocating darkness. The air became thick with an otherworldly chill, a harbinger of something ancient and unholy that had crossed the threshold into her reality. A whispered chant, unintelligible and sinister, echoed through the cottage. The wind outside carried the voices of the damned, a chorus of tormented souls yearning for release. Emma's heart pounded in her chest as she realized the isolation she had sought had become a trap, and the storm that had seemed like a mere backdrop now unleashed a malevolent force that hungered for her very soul. That the demonic presence materialized in the shadows, its form more grotesque and indistinct than before. Tendrils of inky blackness coiled around its spectral frame, reaching out like skeletal fingers hungry for the touch of the living. Its crimson orbs bore into Emma's soul, a gaze that stripped away any facade of normalcy, leaving her exposed to the raw horror that lurked within. The demonic whispers intensified, forming a dissonant symphony that reverberated through the very fabric of reality. Emma, paralyzed with fear, felt the room spin around her, the walls closing in like a claustrophobic nightmare. The grotesque shadows on the wall seemed to merge with the demon itself, creating a nightmarish tableau that defied the laws of sanity. It was in her final moments. Emma's screams were drowned out by the demonic chorus, a cacophony of the damned celebrating the arrival of another lost soul. The tendrils enveloped her, a cold embrace that extinguished the last ember of resistance within her. The flames in the fireplace flickered and died, leaving only the spectral glow of the demon's crimson gaze illuminating the abyss that had claimed her. As the storm outside raged on, the cottage stood as a monument to the horrors that unfolded within its walls. The rain beat against the windows like a funeral dirge, and the wind carried away the whispers of the demon, leaving behind an unsettling stillness. The night, once pregnant with the promise of terror, now held only the echoes of a tragedy that would be forgotten.